Good morning, everybody. How is the audio? I did not check it this morning. I have been in a bad habit of not doing that. I was in here chatting this morning. I see Jamie made it in. Hello, Eileen. Twisted Crime Scene. Gin Bug's in here. Teddy Burr, what's up? What's up, my friend? Wow, this time change is kicking my rear. Normally, it doesn't bother me at all. And 2 days in a row now, I'm dragging ass. Between that and I guess the pollen in the air, bear with me. Bear with me. So, if you were in yesterday, we had a great show yesterday for Summer Wells. If you missed it, go catch it. On the members tab on Friday, we had a fun giveaway. Remember, March is for members. You're going to see a lot of that throughout the month. And now we get to Leticia. Horrible. This show is long overdue. Long overdue. Now, we've been talking about the murder of Gannon in the Facebook group, the Crime Lines and Lies Facebook group, for, 3 years now. Over 3 years. On the channel, I have not, and like I said, it's long overdue because I don't like to jump into the middle of a case. But we're getting to the end. Her trial is coming up. Thank God. This is after years of insanity. She murdered him. And this is one of those cases. We always agree to disagree, but this isn't, the innocent till proven guilty people need to just hang back, if you know what I mean. This woman takes evil to a new level. You know, in these cases, when they involve children, they're always horrible. Don't get me wrong, they're always horrible. But she's a different breed of evil. Rowena says, will you cover her trial? Yes, if it's televised, we will. Right now, I'm getting conflicting information on will it be televised or not? Is there going to be people in the courtroom tweeting what's going on? Or is it going to be on court TV? I don't know. Hey, Muscles, what's up, girlfriend? Leo made it in. So I just had to get that off my chest because, we get those people and they're all about, it's alleged, innocent till proven guilty. Let me tell you what. I think it was Friday. I put a video up on Friday about Gannon, and I put her arrest affidavit in the Crime Lines and Lies Facebook group. It's been posted in there many times before, but it was just a refresher. If you can get through that without losing your mind, you're a great person, is all I can say. I have to take that arrest affidavit in chunks because it is exactly what they say. A violent event occurred in Gannon's bedroom. It's horrible what she put him through. Now this is just my opinion, had such a deep resentment. Things weren't going good between her and her husband, Al. And she had such a resentment against Gannon, against his biological mother, that she took it out on him. Total brutality is what it was. Total brutality. It's horrible. Before I get to the comments, we're going to go through the family so we can get up to speed with who is who. This is lined out in the probable cause affidavit. I'm not going through all 32 pages because, it would take all day. And we're actually going to, the last 3 years, this is going to have to be broken up into several episodes, if you know what I mean. Today, we're going to get through the murder, talk about what led up to it, the craziness of the day of the murder, her reporting him missing as a runaway. We're going to talk about her running off to South Carolina, getting extradited back. Then in the next show I do before trial, we're going to talk about all of her insanity pleas, mental evaluations, the extradition back from South Carolina. It's a lot of crazy stuff. It's a lot of crazy stuff. And we got to take it in small bites. So first we have, if I can find my stuff and if I can get my cat off of my mouse pad. This is little Gannon, 11 years old. 11 years old. What kind of a sick, twisted individual could take their own life problems out on this little boy? And remember, he's 11 years old. He was very well aware of what was going on in that bedroom. He was very well aware. This is Leticia, his stepmother. Drink it up, because the eyes are the window to the soul. And look at those eyes. Before the murder, pictures that you would see of Leticia on social media are that of a well put together, family oriented woman. She looks totally different than what she was putting on social media. I don't know when the wiring shorted out in her brain, but it damn sure did. This is Al. Al is Gannon's biological father. Gannon, at the time of his murder, had been living with for a long time, his father, Al, and his stepmother, Leticia. In Colorado, Gannon's biological mother lives in South Carolina. I don't really bring up his biological mother because, well, she wasn't living there and she's not named in the probable cause affidavit. All right, this is his stepsister, Harley. They're not biologically related at all. And last I heard, Harley will be testifying against her mother. Things are changing. It could be different later this afternoon. I don't know. But as of right now, the most recent report I heard is Harley will be testifying. That is, could you imagine having to face your mother? And this is Gannon again with his little sister, full blood related biological sister, Lena. Lena is also named in the probable cause affidavit. So let's get to the comments, and we're going to go through the night before the murder. Fun to Ski says, I've been following since the beginning, since it happened down in Colorado Springs. Leticia is batshit crazy. Fired attorneys, mental hospital, outburst in the courtroom, and so on. Major jealousy issues. Oh, yes, she does have major jealousy issues. She says, my gosh, the letters to the judge were unbelievable. We're going to be talking about her letters to the judge in another episode. She said she has court on the 20th of March, and I believe they are setting a jury on the 27th of March, and the trial will start on the 3rd. We are definitely going to be following that. And Fun to Ski, you're exactly right. She is batshit crazy, but not crazy in a way that she doesn't know any better. She is certifiable evil crazy. There's a difference between I don't know no better and evil. She is evil. Diane said, T. Stouch, The wicked stepmother from hell, and I'm not exaggerating, brutal. Gannon never stood a chance alone with that woman. No, he didn't. And at 11 years old, like I said, he knew what was going on. He couldn't fight her off. Hell, she shot him. She stabbed him. She beat him. It was so brutal. His blood was soaked into the foundation of the house. Horrible. Horrible. Had a lot of comments. Justice for Gannon. Absolutely. Absolutely. Uli said it's so sad that the children have to suffer for the adults, dispose of them so they're out of sight. That's exactly right. With Leticia, it's a little different. It wasn't so much an out of sight, out of mind, he was in her way type of thing. It was such a hatred that she had for his biological mother. She was having her own issues with Al. She had a lot of Google searches where she was on the prowl looking for her a new man. She was constantly Googling things to make memes out of. You know, why doesn't the biological mother take care of her children? She owes me child support. I mean, it was all kinds of stuff. She is a monster, a total monster. I have the probable cause affidavit. I have it pulled up just for my own reference, but I'm going to start with Sunday night, the night before the murder. Something was already brewing, and she picked a fight. I'm going to put it that way. I'm trying to use some milder language. Picked a fight with Gannon. I'll put it that way. It's my belief that her abuse of him that night went way overboard, which it's always overboard, but you know what I mean. And she could not let anyone find out what she had done. Now that's just my opinion. Let's put this video up, and I'm just going to warn you. It's bad. This is on Wicked Truths. They have the video. Leticia took this video of him crying, of her taunting him, and it got posted.
Well, devastating. Initially, Scott, I can't lie, when the TMZ information.
Gannon, I promise this is the last time I'm going to ask you. I'm just freaked out, okay? Are you sure you didn't do it on purpose?
He did it.
Okay, you promise. You promise.
On purpose.
Pinky promise.
Pinky.
Okay, all right. So listen. We're gonna have to sell stuff to fix it. Okay. So we figure out what we gotta sell. We can sell the sofa. We can sell whatever, because we gotta get it fixed. So, lady, don't be mad at us and kick us out of the house. Okay. You got it?
Could you guys hear that? Somebody said sound. Could you hear it? Tiffany, you're the best. Thank you. You're the best. Busheet said, I've often wondered if she threw the candle at Gannon and that's why he was bleeding. I think I've wondered that myself. Or we still couldn't find the Nintendo Switch. I wondered if she didn't hit him with that. This was all over a candle that burnt the carpet. And instead of just cleaning it up, she is threatening him. Did you do it on purpose? No, you pinky promise. I pinky swear. And he's crying. Joy said, why didn't she just leave if she was that unhappy? Exactly. No, she chose to stay there and abuse the hell out of Gannon. This didn't just go down. No one's going to convince me of that. No one's going to convince me that it just went down on that Sunday night and she continued it into Monday. I think she'd had it out for Gannon for a very long time. Listen to this again.
Well, devastating. Initially, Scott, I can't lie, when the TMZ information.
Gannon, I promise this is the last time I'm going to ask you. I'm just freaked out, okay? Are you sure you didn't do it on purpose?
He did it.
Okay, you promise.
Not
You promise.
on purpose.
Pinky promise.
Pinky.
Okay, all right. So listen. We're all right. We're gonna have to sell stuff to fix it. Okay. So we figure out what we gotta sell. We can sell the sofa. We can sell whatever, because we gotta get it fixed. So, lady, don't be mad at us and kick us out of the house. Okay. You got it?
I've knocked over candles. I've knocked over glasses of wine. My God, you just clean it up. You just clean it up. You don't have to sell a couch to replace a patch of carpet. He's terrified. When I heard this video, I knew right then that this abuse was ongoing. I don't think she did it in front of Al. I really don't. I don't think she did it in front of Harley. I don't think Lena was that privy to it. I think this was her one-on-one with Gannon. She enjoyed torturing him. All right, so we get to the next day. That was on Sunday night. I have the probable cause on the screen. I'm just going to read part of it because it's a lot to take in. This is on page 4 of the probable cause affidavit, the arrest affidavit of Leticia. Page 4, the murder of Gannon. The following section will outline what investigators have learned about Leticia's activity on January 27, 2020, and outline the period when Gannon was likely murdered. Investigators believe that Gannon was murdered by Leticia in the afternoon hours, approximately 14 hours of January 27th, at his residence, more specifically his bedroom. Physical evidence recovered from the residence and inside Gannon's bedroom supports that a violent event occurred in his bedroom, which caused bloodshed, including blood spatter on the walls and enough blood loss to stain his mattress, soak through the carpet pad, and stain the concrete below his bed. Based on evidence recovered from the residence, Gannon's remains were eventually brought through the house into the garage and likely loaded into the back of Leticia's Tiguan, Volkswagen Tiguan. I'm probably not saying that right. After cleaning the murder scene, Leticia utilized the Tiguan to transport and dump Gannon's remains on the evening of January 28th. Leticia likely disposed of his remains off of Highway 105 in Douglas County, Colorado. Indeed, the Metro Crime Laboratory determined that blood discovered in Gannon's bedroom, the garage, and blood on a piece of particle board located off of Highway 105 all matched his DNA profile. On Monday, January 27th. Okay, now remember the video that we just listened to, that was from the night before. And again, it's just my opinion. They're going to outline all of this in trial. What's really, really hard to stomach is, we all know this isn't our first rodeo. A probable cause affidavit is their weakest evidence. This is the tip of the iceberg, guys. When it gets to trial and they break down January 27th, minute by minute, it's going to be horrific. On Monday, January 27th, Gannon stayed home from school. Based on text messages from Leticia to Al, Gannon was up most of Sunday evening with a stomach problem. Leticia did tell Gannon's school that Gannon would be absent on Monday. Investigators were able to verify that Gannon was marked as an excused absence that day. Leticia also told Al that, this is in quotes, "I'm just going to give them an excuse at work and stay with him." Indeed, Leticia did come up with an excuse. She told her employer via text message that her stepdad was killed after being hit by a car and she would not be able to come to work that day. This is the beginning of crazy. She's already coming unraveled. You're keeping your child home. You're taking the day off from work to take care of a sick child. That's really all you have to say. You don't have to make up something so ridiculous. So ridiculous. So she keeps him home from school. Throughout the day, she starts running a series of really bizarre errands. Very bizarre errands. She went to PetSmart like twice. She had a lot of bizarre errands going on. The neighbor, thank you, Dina. Dina said, hearing Gannon's trembling voice breaks my heart. She had no sympathy for that child. None. Pure hatred she had for him. She reported Gannon missing the evening of the 27th, Monday. She said that he had went down to a friend's house, basically described it as a runaway situation. Well, it wasn't. The authorities started asking neighbors to check their cameras, and one of their neighbors came up with her leaving that day with Gannon. Now, when I first watched this, I thought she came back and didn't have Gannon with her. Then we found out, no, she did have Gannon with her. When they got back from running around town, when they got back is when the murder occurred in his bedroom. I am trying to imagine what he could have been thinking, what she was saying to him, and what she was convincing herself to do. I think she knew that she was going to have to get him medical attention for what went down on that Sunday night, and she couldn't do it. He was probably bleeding. Or she was worried that he was going to tell his dad about what happened on Sunday, or that he was going to tell his mom what happened. She knew she couldn't take him to the doctor. Eileen said she will plead insanity. She's tried that. The judge already said, nope, you're sane. You're going to trial. So this is what the neighbor captured on his camera. Okay, you see her walking out to the truck. Now, why couldn't he just walk out with her? She backs into the driveway. Again, we're looking at unhinged. Hours before this, she made up an insane lie and said that her stepdad was hit by a car. He's dead, and she can't come to work. Lana said, like Chris Watts, same thing. Neighbor caught him backing his truck up to load the wife and kids. Yep. What's so scary about this is that he's alive. When this video is going on, he's alive. So she backs up. Okay, so you see her coming out. Then on the other side, you see his feet. He's getting into the passenger side of the truck. Okay, when Roderick showed this video to Al, Al knew she had done something unthinkable. He knew it. Tiffany, exactly. Just lying for no damn reason straight out of the gate. And this video, years ago, 3 years ago, was the talk of the tubes, let me tell you. This video has been looked at a million times because it was the assumption that when she came back, she didn't have Gannon with her. Then, like I said, here comes the probable cause. She did have Gannon with her. All right, she's coming back out. Bouchette said he got in on the driver's side back seat. It's haunting. Not as haunting as the video from Sunday night where she's gaslighting him, saying, now we have to sell the couch because you knocked a candle over. And this is one of many vehicles she had to use in all of this going on.
Yeah, no, I didn't hear anything, so I'm not in a rush. And, how did we just miraculously get?
Yeah, the video doesn't have any sound, guys, and I muted my mic. All right, so this is when she's coming back. Like Bouchette said, if you notice, when she comes back, she has difficulty, a little more difficulty getting into the driveway than she did in the beginning, okay? She has a lot going on. So a few hours after this is when the violent event occurs. This is when, in the bedroom, she shoots him, she stabs him, she beats him to the point that his blood soaks into the concrete foundation of the house. the mattress, the carpet pad. Like I said, she is a different brand of evil. So she says he runs away. They declare him missing and endangered. I think from the get, they already knew that Leticia was up to no good. His blood was even in the electrical outlets. That's how much blood splatter there was. So this is a very, very early news clip of his disappearance.
Mommy and Daddy's here. We're begging and pleading for you to come home.
Breaking news right now at 6, an emotional plea from the mother and father of 11-year-old Gannon Stout, now the focus of a national endangered missing child investigation.
And we want to check in with our Katie Blaze, who's been tracking this story from the beginning when the little boy disappeared on Monday, has not seen since. And obviously another tough afternoon for the parents, and that neighborhood has really pitched in to try and find the little guy. Katie?
Yeah, guys, that's right. The community holding out hope that Gannon will be found. They've been tying up blue ribbons around the neighborhood, Gannon's favorite color, and distributing and posting flyers like this. Gannon has brown hair and brown eyes. He's 11 years old. He's 4'9" and weighs 90 pounds. And he was last seen wearing a blue jacket and jeans. Now, we spoke with Gannon's dad on Tuesday night, and he told us his son was last seen between 3:15 and 4 on Monday afternoon, and that he was going to a friend's house but didn't say which friend. The dad tells us when Gannon didn't return home a few hours later, that's when police were called. Now, a little after 10 on Tuesday, the El Paso County Sheriff's Office showed up at Gannon's home. Law enforcement were at the home and appeared to be searching the backyard with some flashlights. Gannon's parents speaking about the search for their son just moments ago.
I'm Landon Hyatt, Gannon's mom, and I encourage you guys, I know many of you mothers and fathers, I encourage you just to find him. I'm so thankful for all the outpouring help that this case has brought. My son is a very loving kid. He wouldn't want harm on anybody.
And the search for Gannon hasn't stopped since Monday night. Hundreds of people have come together over the last few days to help look for him. And last night, a huge crowd came together at the family's church, Restoration Church, for a vigil, the community praying for the young boy to come home. Always watching out for you, El Paso County. Katie Blaze, News 5.
Horrible, horrible. Now, if you notice who is absent from these news conferences, Leticia. Right from the get, people were saying, stepmom, 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 something's not adding up. So what does she do with a missing stepchild, a missing stepson? She takes it to Facebook. She's arguing with people. She's saying that Al's going to wind up apologizing to her, the whole 9 yards. Somebody asked, is Gannon the victim? Yes, he is. This is Gannon, 11 years old. This picture haunts the hell out of me. I'm looking at this beautiful, beautiful little boy, 11 years old. He's a smart kid. He's a strong kid. He knew he was being murdered. He knew it. I wouldn't be surprised if when she said she was going to keep him home on Monday morning, he didn't already know that something bad was about to occur. A few days after the missing and endangered alert was put out, and the writing was on the wall that this is not a runaway situation. He was not going to see any friends because no friend had been named. They still hadn't come up with the name of the friend he was going to see. Leticia gives an interview to a local news station.
I am Tisha Stout, which is Gannon's stepmother.
You've been a part of the investigation since the very first time. You were the last person to see him. Is that right?
Correct.
What did you see when you last saw him?
Well, I'm not allowed to talk about anything with the case. I would more so be willing to talk about how the community needs to have faith and continue to work together and not make these false accusations, like the things that have been said that I've disappeared from the community. I haven't been there to help, but there's lots of reasons behind that.
Reasons like death threats, right?
Right. Death threats are one of them. My family's getting lots of death threats. We counted over 20 some death threats already. Two, my husband's ex-wife is living in our home. And of course, I'm not coming home to do these things and to help with the family when I was kind of like told I couldn't. And then many other things that happened with the El Paso County Police Department, you know, and in doing the investigation, I was told I wasn't complying. And can I elaborate on that?
Please do.
Yes. So I asked for an attorney during the interview.
This guy, she goes, can I elaborate on this? And he goes, please do. Please do. Yeah, they said, you're not cooperating. You're not telling us what we need to know. We know he did not run away. Now, if you go through the probable cause affidavit, not only did she have a ton of lies going on throughout that day and a murder, she asked her daughter, Harley, right there, Harley, to pick up cleaning supplies, to bring home these cleaning supplies so she could clean up from the murder. Exactly, Kamari. Do you think she's a sociopath or a psychopath?
And I was denied that by them. I was held because they were blocking the door, and I was told I couldn't leave, and that if I would have touched them, they would have probably, said I still wasn't complying or said I was, trying to run away or something. But during the interview, I asked several times, could I stop the interview? Could I get an attorney? Could I stop the interview? Could I get an attorney? I was denied. I was told I couldn't get nothing to drink. I couldn't go to the bathroom. I mean, it was continuously that my constitutional rights were violated.
And that's why you say that they said then you weren't cooperating with the investigation.
That's why they said I wasn't cooperating at that time. Correct.
And why did you ask for an attorney at the time?
Well, I asked for an attorney at the time because there was one individual, there was two really good detectives. And so I'm not, going to talk bad about detectives, but the tactics they started to get when I would answer questions, they try to, they're detectives. They're supposed to twist. The one main goal is to find Gannon. But during that time, some of those things made me feel uncomfortable the way they were saying things. So I immediately stopped and felt like an attorney would help me with some of the vocabulary and things like that I needed help with and understanding some of the things that they were asking.
I'm going to shift gears to what has become a huge online presence of people obviously trying to do the right thing, help find Gannon. But at the same time, sometimes it just feels like rumor mongering. Have you seen any of those comments yourself?
We have. And see, that's one of the main things we haven't been around in the public eye because I didn't want to expose my family to it if all these things were going on. There was comments about Gannon getting pushed off the hike, and there was comments about this, and that's just not true. I took care of Gannon for the last 2 years in our home because his mother didn't want to do it. And I would never.
And boom, right there. She's talking to this reporter. She says, I've been taking care of Gannon because his mother didn't want to do it. She had a huge resentment against Landon, and she honed in on Gannon. I don't believe, like I said, for a second, that the abuse just started on that Sunday night. It's all about her.
Never, ever hurt this child. And I know there's some questions out there about, okay, so tell me what happens. That's up to the investigations when they end up letting you guys know. But I've cooperated with them, even to the point that we were held with a gun. And my daughter, a 17-year-old who serves our country in the United States Air Force, who has never committed a crime or done anything wrong in her life, was put in handcuffs over the keys that was in her purse so they could take her car.
And they weren't in there?
They weren't even in her car. I mean, in her purse. And they were in my pocket.
You originally didn't even know it was the law enforcement officer?
And I also have to say this. For her to involve her daughter Harley in this, again, is a different breed of evil. There were a lot of people online that thought Harley was part of the cover-up. They really did. That girl got some online hate.
I didn't know it was a law enforcement officer because when he came out, I guess he was putting his jacket on, and it wasn't necessarily his fault. He was adjusting and happened to catch me. But I saw the gun and I panicked originally and kind of thought, oh gosh, I got to, like, who's this guy? And then once I realized it was the sheriff's office, I was totally okay. But they still had a gun and told me they were going to shoot me. But I was really concerned about my daughter, asking why she was being detained in handcuffs and things like that, when that shouldn't even happen for a child. That shouldn't happen for someone who was standing inside of a store shopping, because we couldn't have any clothes because all of our clothes were here. If we came here and got clothes, you know, we would be harassed. So she went to purchase some underwear and things like that and was put in the handcuffs in the store, you know, and then brought out with men with guns. And that's just not okay. You know, they could have approached me and said, hi, I'm with El Paso County. Can I please get this? Instead of the way that it happened.
I'm just going to check your chat. Doing great. I'll make sure that we're still good on recording. Still can hear you okay. Okay, yeah, sounds like we're good. Every once in a while, my mic will give out, and I want to make sure that's not going to happen here. Okay. I should try and clarify here. Not necessarily crime rates, but the way that people are reacting online to rumors about you with the source.
Oh yes. Wow. The rumors have gotten so bad. I pretty much have been told at least 10 different ways that these people have these conspiracy theories. I guess they watch a lot of law shows and maybe they have all these theories on how Gannon is dead. And that's what they're saying. So I'm like, why are you saying Gannon is dead? He is not dead. We are going to find Gannon. And that's the main goal that we all have. My family has. Just because you haven't seen us, we have that same goal. And we've been out searching. My aunt has been out searching. My family has been out searching. We all have been doing that together so that we could protect each other.
How does it feel when not only
She wasn't searching for shit. She was on social media arguing with people. And let me tell you, there were people that sympathized with Leticia. You know the people I'm talking about. They do go away. They do. Because when the truth comes out, there's nothing they can argue anymore. When you go through that probable cause affidavit, there's no getting around exactly what they said. Brutality, carnage, a violent event. She's horrible.
you have a lost child you are in care of, but then people blaming you for that child not being there?
You know, I'm just ready for Gannon to come home. Most importantly, for him to see his family. But second, I am going to be so ecstatic when I'm able to say to people that I hope they have a really sincere apology for all these theories that have came out online, for all the things they said that I have done or people have done. And I just want everyone to know that we're going to find Gannon. And
the nerve of this bee. She murdered him. She stabbed him. She shot him. She disposed of his body, went back and got his body, put it in a suitcase, dumped it in Florida on her way to South Carolina. Now, I'm skipping ahead a little bit. And she wants an apology. She wants an apology.
I love him so much. I've helped taking care of him for so long.
Can you talk to me a little bit about him? I don't know him.
Gannon is so kind and he loves to play video games. That's one of his favorite things. He loves Sonic and Mario, and you know, he's always helpful, and he was always so helpful with the dogs around the house, and we have 2 little cute dogs, and he was
okay. She slipped right there. This got the attention of the district attorney. This was noted in another article, a local station in Denver. The district attorney picked up on when she used him in past tense. Now, I know people will say, oh, you're looking too much into that. It's not that big of a deal. It is a big deal. because she slips right here and she says, was. That definitely got him going. He was.
He was always like a person I could say, Gannon, can you go do this? And he would do it right away. You know, sometimes with kids, we have to remind them and things like that. And that's okay. But he was so sweet and able to help anyone. He could notice when you're sick and say, are you okay? And such a kind heart.
I know you just said that you can't say anything about the investigation, so you can just say so again if you can't answer this. But is there anything we can hear about the hike? Was there a hike? We don't. That just seems like rumors right now.
You know what? Could we bring my daughter up here, because she can go and say that, you know, she came home from work after the hike and she can verify that Gannon was at our home.
Okay, yeah, that's fine with me. And if she doesn't want to, that's okay. But you're allowed.
That's fine.
Sound okay so far?
Yes, I need Harley. Because they want you to verify was Gannon at home after the hike. Because you didn't go to the hike, but you came home from work.
Okay, she's talking about a hike they took the day before. On the Sunday before the candle incident, they went on a hike. And people were speculating that Gannon never made it home. Now, this was before, or people didn't know about this video, this candle video. Some people didn't think the candle video happened the night before. But he did make it home from the hike. We do know that. But that was another big thing people were talking about. And here she is again, involving Harley. Throwing her under the bus. Exactly, Christina. Exactly. And I can't blame Harley. I know it was said that Harley wasn't cooperating with the investigation at one point. She is now, like I said, the most recent article I read, she is testifying. Her mother put her right in the middle of this.
Do you want me to just say yes? No, just answer the question. Yes, you came home from work and you can verify Gannon was at home. Yeah. I told her she didn't have to be too in depth because she is still, you know, a child. But I want to make sure that someone knows that there's another person to verify that Gannon.
Sure.
Does she need to hold this?
No.
Yes, so I came home later that evening. I was at work, and I can verify that he was there that night.
So there was a hike that you guys went on, but then you guys came home.
Yes.
Where'd you guys go hiking?
Garden of the Gods.
Okay. I guess when.
And then we ate Burger King afterwards, so, you know.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then it just was, I'm gonna go to play at a friend's house. And then it was just, I'm off to go to play at a friend's house.
Unfortunately, I'm not able to like comment on that anymore. And for that reason is because some things have been turned and twisted. And, you know, that was one of those stories you were talking about where people say things. We had to hear things like who would let their child go out at dark and things like that. And that's just why I don't want to answer that. If I had to give, I'm not gonna say that part.
That's okay.
Never mind.
Right.
I could take that out.
I understand that it gets tricky with legal stuff. Do you feel like I asked you what I need to? Do you feel like this is going to help kind of turn the tide of what feels like a witch hunt, in my opinion?
I hope. Am I on camera now?
You are
okay.
still.
Okay. I think that a lot of people can see that I'm not missing and see that I am being cooperative. But to me, it's okay that they think those things because the way someone thinks about me, I don't have a problem with that. My main thing is I would never want someone to think that I would hurt Gannon or any of the children in our home because that's just not the case. I've spent my whole entire life working so hard in education. There was even things online that was talking about my education license and I shouldn't even be a teacher. And they just didn't know that. Like we moved on a military move and I didn't finish out my contract. So I gave up my license in that state. It had nothing to do with any criminal activity, you know, or any of those things. And it just got blown out of proportion on my professional status, you know. And
do you feel like these are just internet detectives who think they know what they're doing?
It definitely is. And, you know, here's the thing that kind of saddens me. It's like if you're going to talk about someone like that and have a witch hunt out for them, why would you even care like about doing those things?
A witch hunt? No, girl, go somewhere else with that BS. There was no witch hunt. Me, I. Everything's about her. Everything's about her, her professional status. Nobody gives a shit about your job. Everyone knew that her story made no sense. We were just talking about Summer Wells yesterday. When people can't account for their time, there's a reason. She could not account for her time. She had a bunch of silly errands to give herself an alibi. Look how busy I was during the day. But she couldn't account for when she got home to when she called 911. Sound familiar? We know why. Because in that time, she was murdering him. This wasn't quick. This didn't take a couple of seconds. It's exactly what they said. Violent event. It took her some time.
Because this is a child. You're telling me that you're just as mean, you're just as hateful to talk about someone else like that. That's how I feel. Like we just should not. We should all come together and wait until the end and see what happens, because Gannon's going to come home.
Any message for Gannon?
The message for Gannon I have is, Gannon, when you get here, you'll be able to truly tell what happened. And then I really hope I get a sincere apology from everyone who has made all those things, especially from my husband. We just wanted to add him.
She said Gannon will tell what happened. Gannon did tell what happened. When they found his body in a suitcase in Florida, he was basically liquefied. He told what happened because his body told him what happened. Shot, stabbed, beaten, stuffed in a suitcase. And she wants an apology. All of these people are going to apologize because Gannon's going to tell what happened. Gannon's going to tell what happened. Gannon did tell what happened. And your crazy ass is going to be in jail for the rest of your life. Gruesome. She is gruesome.
Message to Gannon from my family is that we love you and miss you, and we hope that you come home soon. And Gannon, I can't wait till you can come home and let everyone know that you're okay.
And now we're turning on the tears. Now we're turning on the tears. Kind of like Leilani Simon. Kind of is. Kind of is. She's horrible. Now, leading up to the murder of Gannon, this is on Document Cloud again, here are some of Leticia's Google searches. I'll tell you what, these people and their damn Google searches, God. Find real military singles. That was on January 25th. Mind you, the murder was on the 27th. Parenting should be 4 people, not 1. I'm overdoing all the work for my stepkids and their mom doesn't help. This is a Google search. Mom advice from stepmom. If you aren't involved in your kid's life, you are shitty. But you can murder him, right? My husband's ex-wife does nothing for her kids. I wonder if my husband's ex-wife is sending me a card since I raise her kids. You know, Valentine's Day was coming up. I wonder if my husband's ex-wife is sending me a Valentine's card. Yeah, there it is. I raise her kids. I wonder if my husband's ex-wife is sending me a Valentine's card since I raise her kids. One day, some people will wish they treated you differently. One day, some people will wish they treated you differently again. So she had 2 searches for that. One at 1:54 and 5 seconds p.m. and then 10 minutes later. Why should my husband choose me over family? That's a very weird search, don't you think? Find me a rich guy who wants me to take care of his kids. Damn. Find a guy who wants me to take care of his kids and get paid. It's crappy. Some parents don't care for their kids or buy them presents. So you can see she has a major resentment towards Gannon's mother. And she took it out straight, brutal, medieval on him. Parents are those who put their kids before their nails. I guess she had an issue with Landon getting her nails done. My son burned the carpet. How do I fix it? Now, that was at midnight on the 27th. Will humidifier help if exposed to smoke? Smoke effects. Will humidifier help? What the hell is that? Colorado law for kid staying at home. School is out. Is it okay for my kid to stay home alone? Son is sick, but I have to go to work. Son's sick. Can he stay home? Suede repair kit for sofa. El Paso Sheriff's Office number. Okay, so this is so she didn't have any searches from 4:40 a.m. on the 27th, the day of the murder, until 6:54 p.m. that night. El Paso Sheriff's Office number. This was noted in the probable cause because they said if you look at her internet searches, her social media history, she's on that shit all the time. She's on it all the time. But this day was like no other. She wasn't using her phone. She wasn't all over that phone like she normally is. Well, we know she was busy. She was busy. What is the process for our runaway child? Police steps for our missing child. Today's flight, Oklahoma City to Colorado Springs. And here we go. Can Nintendo find my Switch? The Switch is it's like a game controller type of thing. They still have not found that Switch. It wasn't with his body. I've often wondered if she didn't take the Switch and beat him with it. I don't know. CarNet Volkswagen. And then here we go. On the 28th, this is the day after he was reported missing, she Googles, they are asking for our son's toothbrush, but said nothing is wrong. Well, there was a lot of stuff wrong. A lot. They needed that toothbrush for a DNA. It says investigators were also able to recover internet search history that was deleted from Leticia's phone. No time and date association was located with the data. And it says, I can only ascertain that the searches were conducted prior to the EPSO seizing Leticia's phone on January 29th. Some, but not all of the search history is included below. Some of the other deleted search terms included travel planning, shopping, job searches, and other seemingly innocent activity. Find me a new husband book. I feel like I'm just a nanny, not a stepmom. Husband uses me to babysit his kids. Are there any free money to move away from a bad situation? My husband never posts about me, but does everything else. She's one of those women that loves social media and was pissed that Al didn't ever post anything about her. She says, I'm just a glorified babysitter. Here's another search. Find a new husband. Sent my husband sexual messages and he ignores them. Make my husband want me more. I feel like my husband uses me to babysit his kid. She doesn't bring up Lena, not kids, kid. This was a big problem with Gannon. Find a guy without kids. That was the next one. Number 12, find a guy without kids. Then they talk about her consciousness of guilt. During the first 24 to 48 hours surrounding the disappearance of a child, it is reasonable that an assumingly innocent parent or step-parent would be contributing to search efforts and fully participating in the effort to recover the child. But in the 24 to 48 hours surrounding Gannon's disappearance, Leticia rented a vehicle, turned her cell phone off for approximately 4 hours on the evening of January 28th, washed her car immediately, prior to coming to the EPSO office for an interview. Who stops to wash their car before you go talk to the police? Evaded law enforcement's attempts to conduct a more in-depth interview and did not participate in the search for Gannon. On Tuesday, January 28th, between 8:48 and 8:54, Leticia instructed Harley to pull your car in the garage via text message. Presumably, get down, kitty. Hang on. Get down. To temporarily cover up any potential evidence left behind. To be clear, Harley has her own vehicle that was mentioned above in paragraph 13. On the 28th, at approximately 16:04, investigators asked Leticia for Gannon's toothbrush to recover his DNA. This is what she texted to Al. Leticia, something isn't right. I think they are hiding something. Al says, who? The police. She says, yes. They just asked for toothbrushes. Al says, what do you think they're hiding? Leticia made a statement to investigators via text message. At the time of this statement, Gannon had been missing for approximately 27 hours. Leticia says, what do you want from me? Because I have nothing. One of your very own leaked to me what you guys were doing. I did nothing and/or am I being set up? I'm not really even sure other than being told that by another blue with El Paso. Nobody with the police department said she was being set up. No one. I was told I couldn't go home to sleep. And on top of that, men were sent to a home with a minor female and she was forced to stay there, not to even leave for food. Every conversation that said, even at this moment, I can hear inside, what do you want from me? Okay, so this is where she's an idiot. She's infuriating. Crime curious, exactly. What was she hiding? That's the question. We know what she was hiding. But this is when the paranoia is really kicking in. And she's really turning it up a notch on social media too. Because she's really arguing with people. And at this point, they're already onto her. They said it is normal that when a child is missing, it's all hands on deck. But her hands weren't on deck. She was doing everything except looking for Gannon. Everything except looking for Gannon. Some would even say she was impeding the investigation. Now, I have to be careful how I phrase this. In the probable cause affidavit, like I said, it's posted in the Facebook group, Crime Lines and Lies. She even said that the blood was a mixture of hers and Gannon's because a guy named Eduardo broke in and R'd them both. Yet she called and said he went to a friend's to play and was a runaway. Like I said, the crazy never stops. It never stops. Let's look at this. This is when they released the arrest affidavit, and that was a mess in itself. It was leaked by a paralegal. That person wound up getting a misdemeanor. This whole thing is crazy.
After months of questions, we're getting some possible answers that are hard to hear about the murder of 11-year-old Gannon Stauch. His stepmom, Leticia Stauch, charged with crime. Her arrest affidavit unsealed to the public today. Besides Colette Bordelon breaking down the gruesome picture it paints.
Originally, this was going to be unsealed next week, but the courts decided to do it today since a copy was leaked on social media. The paperwork shows a series of lies, an attempt to get fake polygraph results, and Gannon's blood throughout the Stauch home.
I forgot about that. I'm glad they reminded me in this clip. She was trying to buy a polygraph online. Like I said, the paranoia was in overdrive. Absolutely crazy.
For a while now, we've only had bits and pieces.
We can see a picture if we only have half of the puzzle.
But now, a picture becoming more clear, no matter how devastating the details.
There's a significant pool of blood. There's blood splatter. There's blood on her car.
Attorney Stephen Longo weighed in on the unsealed arrest affidavit for Leticia Stout.
It really shuts the door on any potential credibility she might try to have.
It all started January 27th when Gannon stayed home from school with his stepmom, Leticia. Surveillance shows them leaving the home around 10. They get back after 2. Leticia's phone was left at home the whole day and not unlocked until around 30 minutes after she returned. Then right before 5.
I think it's really odd. I know some people, when this was going on, said I was looking too much into it. I think her cell phone activity is extremely significant. I've mentioned this in another case where I've said, don't think they're not going to be looking at this mother's cell phone and they're going to realize that the cell phone activity was way off on the day of the murder. Grandma Bunny said, where is Dad? Al was in Oklahoma City on business. She was on that phone 24/7. But the day of the murder, she leaves her phone at home.
A text sent to her daughter asking for cleaning supplies, detectives say are commonly used to clean blood. Then just before 7, Leticia calls 911.
Okay, so at 4:52 p.m., Leticia sends a text to Harley. That's her daughter. She asks her to buy cleaning supplies. I can't remember about what time Harley got home. Let's say it's about 30 minutes later. Imagine the panic in that house. Because from 5:30 to roughly 7 o'clock, she was a cleaning fool. Now, she already had him in the suitcase in her car. Now we're cleaning the room. And I guess she did a pretty damn good job because by first glimpse, you couldn't tell anything had gone on in there. But then here they come and they're doing a deep dive and they realize this was so brutal. This was so violent. His blood was in the electrical outlets. So it was in the mattress, soaked through the carpet, soaked through the carpet pad, into the foundation of the home. She was up all night from when they had their argument on Sunday about the candle. I call it an argument. You know what I mean. She was Googling all night long, all the way to the morning. Comes up with an insane lie to tell her employer. Says her stepdad got hit by a car. Keeps him home. And then the planning goes into overdrive. And it was such a culmination of pissed off. She cornered him in his bedroom and she just flat out brutalized him.
911, saying Gannon never came home from a friend's house. Documents show that would be the first of many scenarios she shared with detectives in the days to come. Investigators believe Gannon was killed in his bedroom between 2 and 5:30 that day.
I think the only potential plea agreement would be a matter of efficiency for her to plead to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Longo says that's the best option for the defense, which also has to account for a defendant who showed strange behavior after her stepson's disappearance, like washing her car before a police interview and bringing notes to it, along with giving alibis and excuses for certain evidence that hadn't been revealed to the public yet. Detectives also believe Leticia initially tried to dispose of Gannon's body January 28th near Perry Park. They found evidence that had been there, but was later moved. These papers were filed before Gannon's body was believed to have been found in Florida. I have talked to the coroner's office down there. They say that autopsy could be released to the public, but that's up to the attorneys in this case. Stouck's next hearing has been rescheduled for late June. If you'd like to see the full arrest.
Okay. Again, this was a while back. So she's already had that hearing. It was Gannon's body that they found in Florida. It gets crazier and crazier because, like I said, she's a different breed of evil. That's for sure. So with a missing child, she hightails it. She takes her daughter, Harley. She gets a U-Haul. Gannon's body is in the U-Haul. Imagine being her daughter. This is her daughter again, Harley, right here. Imagine being her daughter, and you have to come to grips and the reality of a situation that not only did your mother murder your stepbrother in the very home that you live in, she also asked you to pick up cleaning supplies so she could clean up the carnage, and she put him in a suitcase, packed you up, and you drove to South Carolina. Of course, they made a pit stop in Florida, and she dumped his body. I have a feeling they're going to have a lot of questions for Harley when she testifies. Someone says, wasn't there two girls? Yes. Yes. On the screen, the Easter Bunny picture, that is Gannon with his little sister, Lena. Now, they are biological full brother and sister. When Lena got home from school, it is believed that Gannon was already murdered. When she got home from school, Leticia sent her outside to play. Disgusting. So they got their arrest affidavit. Then they have to go track the bee down. I'm doing the best I can to watch my language, and it's tough. This is where we're seeing pure crazy coming out. Pure crazy. Let's look at her extradition hearing in South Carolina. Pay specific attention to the way the judge deals with her. Oh, she is, oh.
Okay. Is this Miss Staunch? Stout? I knew whichever way I went, I'd be wrong. But okay, I don't know how much you know about the extradition proceeding. Do you know anything about extradition? Well, you're going to learn. This morning, you have a decision to make. You can either waive extradition, and the state of Colorado has 20 days to come get you, which, to be quite honest about it, under the facts of this particular situation, I have a feeling it'd be much shorter than that. But
already he's spelling it out for her. Look at her face. Look at that expression. The lights are on. No one's home. She's been in overdrive for weeks, and it's just all come crushing down on her. Now, this judge is super nice, but he's real firm with her. He said, given this situation, because imagine the look on the judge's face when he had to read 32 pages of evil. He said, it's going to be much shorter than that. And it was.
Anyway, they'll have 20 days to come get you, or you can fight extradition. Fighting extradition means that, and this is a guesstimate on my part, that it would be about maybe 90 days from now, the Attorney General from the state of South Carolina would hold a extradition hearing where he has to prove two things: that you are Miss Stouch, Miss Stouch, and that you are wanted for a felony in the state of Colorado. It's not a very high bar for them to jump over, but that is the standard in a extradition hearing. So my question to you is, do you want to waive extradition or do you want to fight extradition?
So when you said something about fighting it, I have to do what now?
Well, you don't have to do anything. You just have to sit until the hearing comes up. But otherwise, the state of Colorado has, if you waive extradition, they have 20 days to come get you. I would be surprised if they weren't already in the air, but that's just me. I have no factual basis for that, but I'm just.
They were here yesterday. That's who actually came.
Oh, okay. So what?
Oh, hell yeah, they were on the way. They wanted her back in Colorado ASAP. And this guy, he's being really nice. She's a scary, scary person. Can't imagine that judge reading that probable cause and then having to explain to this imbecile her rights. That's a tough pill to swallow when you have to do that. And she's pure evil playing along with it. Like he's there to help her. Welcome, Renee. I'm glad you found us.
What you want to do, young lady? You want to waive extradition or you want to fight?
So there's a hearing here. What does that mean? They decide and determine what? If the hearing is here, what does that decide?
It just decides whether you go back to Colorado or not.
Well, I've still never been given the opportunity, like since the beginning, to even call my attorney to even talk to him about any of these things.
Well, where's your attorney?
I need to call my friend Laura, who has an attorney, but I was told yesterday that someone was going to do that, but they never did.
Okay.
I've asked since yesterday that I call an attorney.
Well, it doesn't matter either way to me because I'm just asking the question. I don't care what the answers are. If you waive extradition, I will sign the extradition order and they'll bring it back there for you to consent to. If you fight extradition, then they'll just have an extradition hearing sometime in the future. And the problem with fighting extradition is that the time you spend sitting waiting for the extradition hearing is always considered to be your time, not Colorado or whatever the requesting state's time is. So you don't get any credit. It's like, I won't say wasting your time, but, and there are very few, this isn't legal advice, but I'll tell you, there's very few defenses to extradition. But it's your choice.
Basically, he's telling her the gig's up. He even said, I wouldn't be surprised if they're not in the air. He had to read that probable cause. He said, given this particular situation, I wouldn't be surprised if they're not already in the air. They're coming to get you. And she's sitting there wanting to have a conversation. He said, there's really no defense to extradition. There's really not any. They're going to take your ass back to Colorado. You're going to face these charges. And she's just wanting to sit there and chat with him or something. I don't know what the hell. She's trying to act dumb. Now, on one hand, she'll tell everybody how damn smart she is. She's an educator. She's this, she's that. But given the most elementary conversation you can have, she plays dumb. She knows exactly what's going on. She knows what's going down. She knows.
So you're saying it's not like a guarantee, it's just a hearing?
It's just a hearing where they have to prove you are who you are and that you're wanted for a felony. Those are the two things they have to prove in an extradition hearing. That's all. So, I mean, if you are who you are and you're wanted for a felony in Colorado, it won't do much good fighting an extradition hearing.
Oh, you're saying they have to prove that. I see what you're saying. I understand.
Yes.
So yeah.
Okay, what you want to do, young lady?
So Colorado.
Okay, well, I'll sign the extradition order and they'll bring it back for you to consent to. Now, of course, it wouldn't have mattered if you waived or not waived. When somebody is a fugitive from one state, I don't let them be a fugitive from two states. So it's not like if you answered either way, it would make any difference as far as as the hearing today goes, because I'm not going to set bond. Of course, with the charges that are involved, I couldn't set bond anyway. I don't think. Anyway.
Oh, he's not having anything with her. Listen to him. I'm not going to let you be a fugitive from 2 states. Given this particular situation, he says, yeah, we don't want you here. We don't want you in South Carolina. You're going to take your greasy hair back to Colorado, and you're going to answer for this. Exactly, Journey to Justice. The judge is pissed at her. He don't want her there. Take your greasy head back to Colorado.
Yeah, I didn't run from you guys, so I don't have any trouble with you guys. I didn't even know anything until yesterday. So the date on that paper you had is wrong.
Well, let me tell you something else. And I didn't go into all this. But now that we've decided what we're going to do in this particular hearing, because of the charges you're charged with, as far as today's concerned, I don't believe I'd say too much more. Okay.
Look at her face when the judge in South Carolina says, if I was you, I wouldn't say too much. Because I'm looking at a probable cause affidavit that sounds like it comes from probably the most demented screenwriter Hollywood couldn't even shit out. It is the stuff nightmares are made out of. And there he is going, if I was you, I wouldn't say too much. I wouldn't say a word. A word. She is so crazy that when they were extraditing her back to Colorado, she attacked a deputy. She, like I said, she cracked. She lost it. Something went down, tripped her wiring on that Sunday night, and she carried it over into Monday afternoon, brutally murdered Gannon, takes his body to Florida, dumps it, goes to South Carolina, and they grabbed her. She's horrible. I'm going to post the link again if anybody wants to come up and discuss this with me. We're not going through all of it today because there's so much to take in. There's so much to take in. The next episode that we do, JPL's in the JPL, what the hell? Good Lord, JPL. Thank you, JPL. The next one that we do is going to be what happened after she got extradited.
All right. They'll bring the order back to you to sign in a moment. All right. The consent to, okay? All righty.
He says, all righty. All righty. We have Brittany backstage. Let's see what she has to say about this. Hello, Brittany. How are you?
Hi, good morning.
Can you believe it's finally go time? It's finally, we're finally coming up on the trial for her. You know, she plays so dumb, but you have to admit, the bitch knows the system. Because it's 3 years in the making.
Mm-hmm. This case seriously consumed me, and I'm impatient. So it's hard. I'm trying not to get my hopes up because I'm with Leticia. Anything's possible, but I really do feel like this judge he's had it. Like he's gonna make it happen this time, I think.
Well, the judge already said, you're saying you're going to trial. That's all there is to it. You're saying you're going to trial. And basically any trick she could pull, she has. At one time, I don't want to skip too far ahead, but at one time she wanted to defend herself. She wrote a letter to the judge making it sound like she's of the educated community like him.
Mm-hmm. I'll never forget that. And the peanut butter, you remember that?
Nasty bitch.
Yeah, she said she was getting threats in her peanut butter in jail.
Yeah. Well, she
It's
put
just
peanut butter in her hair. I've never seen such an oily mess before in my life.
oh, that the interview on the outside of the neighborhood. Like I'm going through this one and I'm finding things that I forgot about as I'm going through it. And this case is so extensive, isn't it? Like
It is.
it's a lot.
There is so much stuff the last few weeks I've been going through, and I've just got folder after folder after folder on top of all the other folders I had on this case. And, you know, when you go back and you refresh your memory and you remember discussing the case early on, and this is kind of when I came up with the phrase, when it all comes out, it's going to be much worse than we ever imagined, because when this probable cause came out, I had to take it one page at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. And there's just nothing that she could ever do or say to justify what she did to that baby. Like it's just and she's the worst kind of evil. She's the worst kind of evil because she can sit there and talk about him as if nothing ever happened.
As if nothing ever happened. You're exactly right. And I mean, look at these pictures. I'll have to scroll up a little bit. This picture there's the electrical outlets where they found his blood in the outlets. There's the mattress. Now, it always really, let's see if I can find the picture. It's on here somewhere. Oh, I promise it's on here somewhere. She took a picture of him in bed that morning. That creeped me out so much.
I have that one.
There it is. Photo from the morning of January 27th, 2020. I have a clearer picture, but this is on the probable cause. It says, pay particular attention to the top left of the bed. Now, nothing to see here. Nothing creepy at all, huh? She took a picture of him sleeping in the bed. She tells Al he was up all night with a stomach problem. Tells her boss that her stepdad got run over by a car. This is awful.
I want to ask you this because I'm almost sure that I'm right on this, but wasn't she, like, they had already dismissed her from that job before she even started it? Like she was calling into a job that she didn't even have?
That's another level of crazy. You're exactly right. She was reporting to a job she'd already been fired from. That's how tripped out and crazy she was. This woman is not on drugs. She's not a drinker. This is just pure D crazy. And I don't mean crazy in the not culpable where she doesn't understand what she's doing. I mean crazy in an evil way. And I think I'm exactly right, Tracy. In this picture of him laying there in bed, he was already very injured. I think it was all going down the night before.
Yep. I agree. I agree with that. And then that's the comforter that's on that bed is not the one that was originally there either at this point, right? Like I think the comforter that he originally had before she took this picture it matched the sheets, like the shark sheets he had.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't even know. I struggle with this one with the timeline too. I feel like there's still something off about the timeline, but I don't know how far you got, so I don't want to say anything and mess up your presentation.
Oh no, today I'm just getting through, up to, what we got through to the extradition hearing in South Carolina. And then I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow or Thursday. I'm going to go through what happened when she left South Carolina. It's one thing after another. It is one thing after another. Sassy, exactly. Jealous of a child. She's jealous of the attention that Al put on his son, his only son, his boy. Jealous of that attention, hatred, major hatred for Gannon's mother, Landon. Hated her. Was mad that she wasn't paying child support, not sending presents, not splitting the bills, yet getting her nails done. She had a serious hatred for Landon. And those things may not have even been going on. This is Leticia's world we're talking about.
Yep. Do you remember, I found this the other day, the phone call that she had with someone right before she was arrested, where she was talking about, she was incriminating Landon and trying to say that she thought Landon had something to do with Gannon's disappearance. Knowing what she did to him. And
knowing what she did to him and knowing that Landon was in South Carolina.
Yep.
She knew she wasn't anywhere near that part of the country. She knew it. I'm probably going to catch some hell for this, but I think it wouldn't have bothered her for them to blame Harley.
Oh, I agree. I'll agree with you on that. There's no way. I don't think this woman has the ability to have compassion and love. She tried to pull Harley in to be a witness for her at that interview she did.
She did. Yeah.
Oh, it's so gross.
I still could not believe when she said, "Oh, here, you need to tell them that when you got home from work, he was home from the hike." Because a lot of people thought he never made it home from the hike they had taken on Sunday afternoon. And they didn't believe that video was from Sunday night. The video was from Sunday night, and she was up all night long trying to figure out how to get herself out of the mess she had created. She wasn't worried about the carpet. She was worried about the injuries to Gannon. She knew she couldn't hide that from Al. And she also knew that there was a good possibility that Gannon, she knew she couldn't send him to school. She knew there was a really good possibility that he was going to tell his dad, the gig is up. This is what this woman does to me.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the candle, I want to ask you this. So her story was that Gannon he lit a candle, knocked it over, and it started a fire. But if you look, any candle, think it would be very difficult to knock a candle over and set carpet on fire, because the wax would more than likely put the fire out on the wick.
It does. I've knocked over dozens of candles. I'm horrible with those. Horrible. My husband's always like, "Do not light another candle in this house." I can even tell you how to get wax out of carpet. I've got it down to a skill. No, there was no fire or anything. She probably took the candle and probably threw it at him. I mean, he was bleeding.
Yes, and the candle, something that's always made my stomach turn is if the picture of the candle, she's got like towels laid out on the floor surrounding this small patch of candle wax. And that turns my stomach because what else could be there besides blood that she's trying to cover up on the carpet? So you can't.
Because a doctor of education would know a towel isn't going to sop up wax. We know what she was cleaning up.
Yep. Oh, it's horrific. And honestly, I do believe that being that Harley's room was downstairs in the basement with Gannon, it was in that recording that she put out. It's incredibly loud in the background. I feel like Harley's going to be a huge witness in this case or this trial.
Huge witness. Because not to mention, Harley was with her mother all the way from Colorado into Florida, where the body got dumped. Poor little Gannon got dumped to South Carolina. Imagine what their conversation was in there. And I know at one point they said that Harley was not cooperating. But now she is. I mean, I'm sure she has read this. Let's see what Jeannie has to say. We got Jeannie backstage too. Hello, Jeannie.
Good morning, Brooks.
It's almost time, finally time for Leticia's trial.
Hi, Jeannie.
Hi. It's been a long time coming, let me tell you. Oh.
I agree with Journey to Justice. She said she cracked that candle over his head. That's what I think. There was obviously the violent event is what took place in the bedroom, but she crossed a huge line on Sunday, and she knew that her ass was gonna be cooked. She knew that Al was gonna see what happened. Odds are Gannon was gonna tell him. Gannon was gonna text his mother and say, this is what's going on. And she couldn't allow that. She drove around with him all day. I say all day, a good portion of the day. They left around 10:16 a.m. that morning. They returned after 2. I think she was working up the nerve for what she was going to do, then reports him as a runaway.
Yeah, and the next day she went to the airport to pick Al up, and she actually used her vehicle with Gannon in the back of the vehicle, and left it there and rented another vehicle to pick Al up. So she left her vehicle at the airport with Gannon's body in it.
Yep, and rented another car. She had a lot of planning going on. That's the reason I don't go with the crazy thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's kind of like with Leilani, when some people were saying, kind of defending Leilani a little bit. And I'm like, listen, lie after lie after lie after lie, not to mention the planning for a cover-up. She knew what she was doing. She knew what she was doing.
Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely. She knew.
Proves the difference that she knew between right and wrong, and that she to go so to great lengths to cover up her crime. But Jeannie just reminded me of something with saying the stuff about the airport. The night that she called the police to report Gannon missing, I think it's of everybody's opinion that he was in the trunk of her car in the garage.
Yep.
That night while the police were there. She was that bold.
She was that bold.
She dragged his body to her vehicle in the garage and then cleaned up.
She damn sure did. And she had also been researching, I guess the protocol for when a child is missing, runaway or whatever. So she knew she had time before they would be on to her and that they would start searching the house. But she made sure to get his body out of the house the next day.
Yeah.
She left it at the airport.
Yeah. And she, because Al had questioned her, like, why are you using one of our vehicles? And she said, well, just in case we see Gannon, he's not going to run away when we see him.
That was the only excuse she could come up with.
Yep.
If he sees my car, he's going to run away. Oh, nothing odd about that statement. Why would he run away from you, Leticia? Because you're a murderer?
That's always bothered me that she would say that. Yeah, why would he run from you?
Yeah.
Why? He's 11 years old.
Yeah.
And we knew that there was something up. I mean, within, I would say, a day of this story breaking out, because when asked, nobody could provide the name of the friend that he supposedly went to see. She didn't think about that, did she? Then she comes up with this Eduardo guy. She says that Eduardo broke into the house, barred her and Gannon. That's how sick she is.
Yeah, and took down Gannon. She said that he took him.
I just cannot imagine the type of hatred you would have to have for a child, an 11-year-old boy, your stepson that you to put him through that.
Yeah.
Put him through that. It's beyond. We have Crime Curious backstage. Let's see what she's got to say.
Oh, she's amazing.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey,
I am barely awake, but there is never a time when I'm not ready to talk about the Walmart Kardashian.
Oh man, if she isn't. If she isn't. Yeah, that time change is really kicking everybody's ass. Last year it didn't bother me, or the year before, or the year before. This year it's taking a toll.
I slept an hour late this morning. It really affects. It's affected me pretty bad too.
Just a few more days and it'll catch up with us.
I guess for me, researching this case, I've been researching it, solid the last 3 years, and anytime I've had a question, I've reached out to attorneys or private investigators or forensic psychiatrists because I have a lot of questions, and I've been documenting it the whole time. And for me, once I was able to get past all of the tears and all of the sadness, I mean, when this first happened, watching his parents' faces, I mean, it was unbearable. I can't imagine what they've been through. And since then, I've been in the courtroom for some of the hearings, and I sat 5 feet away from Albert, and I was very impressed with the way he was able to maintain composure, because I was also 5 feet away from Leticia, and it was intense. I don't even know how to describe it, but
we have another friend of the channel, and she was at not the last one, not the one before. I can't remember what hearing it was now. I don't see her in here, or she'd be grabbing the link. She said that Leticia just has an evil vibe.
Oh yeah. Was it Jen Lo?
Who?
Oh, I was just wondering if it was Jen Lo. I saw her in the courtroom.
No.
But once I got over, the sadness of it all, then it all became anger. And for me, the hardest part, or after all the other hard parts, then the hardest part became her lying about the essay, and and now her lying about mental illness, because there is a mental health crisis in this country, and certainly in the state of Colorado, and she's exploiting all of it so that she can say that she's the victim. And that's my biggest struggle now, is the anger that I feel every time she tries to play the victim. And bringing in this new forensic psychiatrist that's going to say she has dissociative identity disorder and she's actually the victim, it's just it's too much sometimes.
Well, I mean, she's got the balls of a burglar. She's talking to the local reporter and says she's owed an apology. She's owed an apology. She specifically wanted an apology from Al. And now she's given this interview, and it's just my belief that with that U-Haul out there, and she has Harley come and she gets on camera and says, yeah, I saw him when I got home and all that stuff. His body was in that damn U-Haul as she was talking to the reporter. This is how evil she is. And I believe, like Fun to Ski said, I believe she is batshit crazy. I do. But I believe that she's an evil type of crazy. She knows what she's doing.
Absolutely.
She knows 100% what she was doing. She knew to lie to her employer. So, I mean, red flag, one of the major red flags, when we have to call our employer and say we're not coming to work, they understand when you say, my son's sick, I have to stay home today, I don't know what's going on, probably have to take him to the doctor. They're like, okay, hope he gets to feeling better. Not Leticia. She texts to a job she no longer has. Okay, nothing crazy about that, right? To tell them that her stepdad was hit by a car. What?
Right. And her stepdad actually was hit by a car when Leticia was 19 years old.
Yeah, it happened, but years before.
Right. Yeah, she is. I also call her the unholy queen of technicalities.
She knows the system. She does. Sarah said she's a psychopath. I think she is too. I think she's straight up psychotic. Lala said, Brooks, where do you find these people? Yikes. I'm telling you, Lala, it's crazy. It's crazy out there. So I don't know. What do you guys think is going to happen? I mean, I don't see how you could ever, just with the probable cause. And as we know, the probable cause is always their weakest evidence. And this probable cause will have you in a state of shock for quite some time. I'm still in shock over it. And I've been reading it for 3 years. I don't see how you can present just that document to the jury and them not puke, cry, get pissed, and find her guilty. Because they haven't even introduced everything they have. I think at one point the discovery was almost 5,000 pages.
When I first read the affidavit, the probable cause, I did not realize the extent of what she did. And it shocked me.
Oh.
Like, it literally shocked me. Everything that she did to that little boy. I mean, beat him, stab him, shot him. Like, I can't even imagine.
And he's 11 years old. He knew what was going on.
Yeah.
He knew. He knew she had him cornered in his room. She had already brought down holy hell on him the night before and injured him badly, I believe.
Yeah.
And then she continues it into the bedroom. He knew what was going on. He's 11 years old. He was and you know, it's overkill for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this, like I said, this wasn't something that just took her a minute or so. I have a feeling, and I'm sure it'll come out in trial, just my opinion, he fought her. He was fighting with her.
Yeah.
He wanted to live. Gannon wanted to live. Gannon wanted to live.
Yeah, if you noticed, when he was getting in the truck, he didn't look like he had like a lot of energy or anything like that. You know how some kids, 11 years old, run around the truck and stuff like that, but he was hardly moving.
Hardly moving at all, exactly.
Yeah.
He didn't have much of a pep in his step.
No.
And honestly, then she goes to PetSmart 2 times. Like I said, just some silly errands for a woman with a sick child at home. These errands didn't make any sense. And I think she was working up the nerve or trying to talk him into not telling, come up with a story of what they were going to tell Al as to what happened to Gannon. She also is smart enough to know that if she takes him to the doctor, they're going to get it out of him what happened. They're going to get it out of him.
Yeah.
I remember hearing towards the beginning, someone had interviewed one of the neighbors, and it was actually Gannon's best friend's mom. And she talked about what a great kid Gannon was, and that he was very obedient, and that he was more, he was on time. You know, if they were going to be picking him up at noon, he was ready by 11:45, and he was all packed up and ready to go. And I just, that's where the position of trust thing comes in. She was in charge of him. He was in her care and custody, and he was a good kid. I mean, I'm sure he had issues like any other kid does, but it sounds like he was a really good kid, and he did follow the rules, and he did listen to his parents, and it's pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah, he was very responsible. They said he was He was really responsible for his age. Yeah.
And then to find out that there were, gunshot wounds and blunt trauma to the head.
Blunt
And there
trauma,
were
stabbed.
right, more than 18 times. There were more than 18 sharp force wounds.
Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, I'm going to look at that interview real quick. Hang on.
Tonight in the Gannon Stout case, the 11-year-old boy's body believed to have been found in Florida. His stepmom reported him missing back in January, and as News 5's Colette Bordelon explains, she is now facing 9 new charges accused of his murder.
Those charges against Gannon's stepmom, Leticia Stout, stemming from that discovery, which happened Wednesday of this week when our sheriff's office got a call from deputies in Florida saying they found a young boy's body, and after an autopsy, are tentatively identifying him as Gannon. His mark left on Lorson Ranch. With an update on Friday.
Every heart broke.
After remains found in Florida potentially point to Gannon.
How does a person think like that to do something so heinous?
Kelly Gasper lives across the street from the Stout home.
We'd have the windows open. We'd hear the kids playing outside. That's the best sound, is the kids outside playing. And he was one of them.
A boy she believes deserves answers.
How do you get from Colorado to Florida with a body and not be noticed?
The discovery changing the case for the prosecution.
Anytime you have a homicide case, the body has a lot of evidence associated with it. And I'm speaking in only a general sense.
Now, 13 charges filed against Leticia Stout, including the standard first-degree murder charge and 8 crimes of violence, including use of a firearm, blunt object, and a knife or something similar.
We met with the family earlier today, and obviously they're distraught with this information. They were still holding out hope that Gannon would come home alive despite the original charges that we filed in this case.
Lead prosecutor on the case, Michael Allen, says even though Gannon's body was potentially found in Florida, they believe the crimes happened in Colorado. Otherwise, they couldn't charge her here.
I'm going to miss hearing his laughter with the rest of the kids out in the street playing.
While neighbors work to remember a young boy taken too soon.
Justice will be served. If it's not here on earth, it'll be up in heaven.
Only time will tell what happened to Gannon, as his stepmom sits in jail, accused of the crime. Leticia Stout is still scheduled to appear in court on April 14th. Allen says despite COVID-19, in-custody cases like hers are still being heard at this time. Meanwhile, the investigation continues, with the sheriff's office wanting to hear from anyone who might have seen Stout in Florida at the beginning of February.
Horrible. Morbid, gruesome. I can't this case is one that I just can't wrap my mind around. I mean, they all shock the shit out of me to some regards, but this one is, sometimes you're just like, this can't be real. Somebody made this up. You drive across the country with his body in a suitcase with your own daughter in the car. Never mind how horrendous it was. The actual crime itself, I mean, brutal.
Yeah, definitely brutal. Like, she has no conscience whatsoever. None. And even when they questioned her at the police station a few days after his disappearance, they had asked her at that time for if she would be willing to give DNA, and she faked sick. She actually faked sick. They had to take her to the hospital.
I mean, any trick you can pull, she did.
Yeah.
Anything you could pull. And this is a common question, and I have a feeling they're going to be asking Harley about this on the stand. Did Harley notice any smell? Because it would have been coming out of that suitcase for sure. Even though it's in the back of the U-Haul, you would notice some sort of odor.
Right. He had been gone for 5 days at that point. When they started that road trip, and that road trip took more than 1 day.
By then, she would have definitely known something was up. And that's another thing for Harley. I hope she's getting some therapy. I really do. Because she's going to have to come to, if she hasn't already, come to grips with what her mother did and what her mother put her in the middle of. Her mother tells her to pick up the cleaning supplies to clean up a murder scene. Her mother takes her across the country with her stepbrother in the U-Haul. Leticia has ruined so many people's lives. Then we have the little sister, Lena. The internet's forever. Lena is going to read all of this.
Yeah. Yeah. When she gets older. Oh, yes, for sure.
She's going to read all of this. She's going to understand when she came home and was told to go outside and play, it's because her brother was dead in that home.
Yeah. And she has seen what happened the night before with that video because she was there in that video.
And that's another thing. How was she planning on keeping Lena quiet?
Mm-hmm.
She must have thought she had it in really good with Lena, but not with Gannon.
Yeah. Well, I think Gannon was like really, really close with his dad. Yeah. I think he kept in contact with his dad like almost every day.
Mm-hmm. He was texting his dad when they were running those goofy errands throughout the day. He wanted to play Zelda, and his dad said, "No, not today, buddy."
Yeah.
And I don't know what that was all about. I'm sure Al will have to tell the story and have to relive all of this when he takes the stand. Al's a witness too.
Yep.
Brittany said, yes, Lena was awake on T's bed watching TV in that video.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot to take in. So I don't know if we're going to go through the extradition up to now tomorrow, or if that's going to be a Thursday show. I haven't decided yet. I have a lot more to put together for it, but I hope you guys come back. But as for today, that's all I got.
Okay, well, thank you for having me, Brooks.
Anytime, my friend. You have been hitting this case hard for years, girlfriend. Anytime I can't remember something, day or night, I'll text Jeannie and she's like, oh, I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a long 3 years. Let me just say that. It's been a long 3 years.
And there was a time that I really was afraid that they were going to institutionalize this crazy thing and she would not stand trial. But I loved it when the judge most recently said, you're saying we're done. We're going to trial.
Yeah, he wasn't having any more of it. No, he was done with the evaluation. He didn't even get the latest one yet. So
horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible. I mean, there's just no way to talk about this case without just putting it all out and saying, this is what it is. Pure evil.
Yeah.
Pure evil. Crime Curious, thank you for coming up and talking with us.
Of course.
And are you going to come back for the next show?
Absolutely.
Awesome. And I want to thank Brittany for coming up today. I've never gotten to speak with her before. That was a lot of fun. It's hard to say fun and stuff like that when we're talking about something so horrific, but around here we keep it as light as possible because these situations, these subjects, this evil is really hard to get through. It really is. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you again for coming up. Thank you for piling in here this morning to go back over this. We're not done. We're going to be hitting it and getting all the way back up to speed before the trial. Anything that you guys can think about that, because there's a lot to forget in this case, send me an email, message me on Facebook, Discord, however you want to do it. So I will see you guys back here at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of your day.